I'm Mike Caudill, and this is Geared Up to Go RVing. All right, so let's just start with the ultimate question, right? Why install a tent and a roof rack system like I'm doing on your personal vehicle? Well, there are a lot of great reasons for it. First and foremost is it's really, really easy. So if you want to dip your toes into the world of RVing, this gives you a chance to do that. Of course, for me, it led to my guilty pleasure of not just getting my truck into the camping world, but then it got me into a travel trailer and then a Class A and a Class B, and you get to create so many memories when you do that. Also, you can move on a whim, and I think my son and I will do that. We'll stay in one place overnight, we'll load the bikes in the back, you put the tent down, and boom, away you go. As you can see behind me, I have some fun stuff in the back of my 2017 Raptor. I'm wearing coveralls. I get to actually go build something, which is a super fun for me. And if you are someone that, like me, started in a tent, I went from a tent and then I went to an RV and then I kind of got to where I'm at today, you can actually go from a tent on the ground to a tent up in the air. And so what I'm doing is I'm putting a project together. It's a little surprise for my son Tyler and I. We're gonna take off on some quick 1-2 night summer trips to do a little bit of mountain biking and a little bit of backcountry fishing. And that is what I grew up doing, and so he loves participating in that as well. So what we're doing is we're actually going to be building in a 2-stage process to this truck, and there are a variety of different brands that you can choose from when it comes to putting a tent up on the back of your truck, how you mount it, what are some of the things that you can do to make it easier, better. I'm going to put a whole rack system on the top part of my truck up here as well. All right, so here's just a little, I'm not even calling it a pro tip, I'm just calling it a pay attention tip, because I've done this before. You get through the box looks completely cleared out, and then you throw the box away and go, uh-oh, there's something else in there that I forgot. And then you have to call the manufacturer. Well, I noticed that in here, under this box, are some special rails. These rails are very important and needed, so make sure you check all parts of the box. Our goal is to get a rack system put on top, and then on top of that rack system, we're gonna put a tent. That way, my son and I, when we go out camping, we can be up off the ground. And by the way, whether you're using a tent or a small tow-behind RV, there's so many great options. I think that's the point of this. So what I'm looking most forward to is sharing with you in this video the fun of building. So now that I've got everything organized now on the floor, I like to create a nice space for myself to work. So instead of trying to work off the back of the truck now or on a table, I'm gonna start the entire process right here on the floor and complete from the front end to the back end, the entire top mount unit that'll go on the top of the Raptor. I always have to talk about safety. It's so important when you're doing, especially work on a vehicle and you're working with tools, that you have the proper safety gear. As noted, I love to wear my glasses, not only to see, but to protect my eyes. Lighting is so critical, especially when you're working in dark places. And now that I've got the entire slimline base put together, all of the bolts were put in loosely. So now the next phase of the process is to go around and make sure you torque them all down. Make sure you read in the directions exactly what that torque specification is. And now with the bottom layer done, now it's time to flip it over. And when you flip it over, now you're gonna put on the end caps to complete the top part of the slimline. Now that I've got the base laid down, I move to a larger area where I have more room to maneuver around. Now, last thing to do is tie in these end caps. And the last thing to do before we get ready to mount the slimline up on top of the Raptor is to actually put the wind deflector on, and that's really easy. There's 4 bolts, they slide in through these T-slots, and all you have to do is maneuver it around, make sure it's measured equally on both sides, and then fasten them down, and you're ready to get it up on the truck. All right, there you go. So we are done with the Slimline 2, and the next step is to actually get the mounting brackets onto the Slimline. That way we can then mount it up on top of the Raptor. All right, so welcome to the top of my 2017 Ford Raptor, which is the vehicle I'm doing this front runner build on. So one thing they don't put in the instructions, and I'm a big fan of, is duct tape. Duct tape goes in my RV, it goes in my travel trailer, it goes everywhere I go. Duct tape is the key. It's the top of your truck. The duct tape's gonna come off, but I actually use it to hold down the slimline skeletal structure, if you will. So this whole base layer right here, I'm just using the duct tape to hold it in place so I can drill those pilot holes to get it actually affixed to the top of the truck. All right, so you ready? Let's dig in. Let's get this whole thing assembled. Last but not least, on top of that, we'll be getting the slimline roof rack itself up on top of the truck. So as far as the measuring goes, and we're gonna take the slimline base layer off here in a second, but you wanna be 200 millimeters from the rivet that is on the back of your truck. And most trucks will come with a rivet plastic cover on the end. And that's the equivalent of roughly 7 3/4 to 8 inches up here. So I put little pilot holes all the way along. Now we're gonna pull this off and actually make holes so that we can affix the screws down into the top of the truck. All right, so what I'm doing here is I am protecting my truck. And this is silicone. So we are gonna put some silicone around the joints on this. I really wanna make sure. It's another thing. It's important for everybody to see all the fun stuff that happens. Wanted to cut the tip off this. So I'm gonna put a liberal amount of silicone around this bolt because I don't want any water issues with my truck. Because all this is gonna be under the cover anyway. Don't miss any. Silicone is your friend. I keep tons of silicone in our RV. A couple times a year I'll check the roof. Trust me, you're gonna wanna use it. There we go. All right, I feel pretty good about that. Now, we're gonna go ahead and get some of these guys lined up. And the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna take our impact wrench again, and we are going to start putting these in. So we're gonna take this guy right here. And before I get all super crazy, I'm just gonna make sure everything kind of fits. So you're at an angle up here, so you kind of have to work these things through sometimes. And then once I feel like I've got every bolt in a good groove, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start using the impact to get them in. All right. Make sure you drink your water when you're doing this project, because I've been at this for a while. It's gone. Isn't it funny that when you're working on a project like this, the second time always seems to go so much faster? Of course, right? Well, you learn a ton the first time you go through the steps, and that was the case for me working on this build. All right, so here we go, the last part of the install. Now that the slimline roof rack has been done, it's now time to move on to what I'm looking the most forward to, and that is actually installing the tents inside the truck bed. So it's gonna start with this. This is the front runner, and this is their pickup, and this is their roll top leg mount. So you're gonna have 3 leg mounts that are on the back of this. Now, here's what's really cool, is that for this truck, I actually have installed a Truck Hero Retrax closing system. So camera's in the way so you can't see, but this is a Retrax closing system. What's great is it actually comes with the slimline T adapter that'll go inside here. So you'll be able to slide those pivot points on. So when you look at the leg mounts right here, those leg mounts are gonna slide right onto this. You'll be able to lock them down. And then what that means is that when I'm not using the truck for tent camping and I don't need those brackets up on top, I can easily slide them off and store them in the garage. But here we go. I'm going to show you guys how to do this. It's going to be a real easy install for this one. And we'll have this up before you know it. All right, so as I get ready to start installing my leg mounts, a couple things just to pay attention to and some things that I'm doing differently than the directions. So first off, the leg mounts, they look like this. They got an open cavity on one side and then they're flat on the other side. So what's great about the Retrax from Truck Hero is that you simply just slide it on. Now what I'm gonna do, and you wanna make sure you slide the outside of the cavity to the outside of the truck. I'm gonna slide it down, but I am not gonna tighten it up. The instructions, it kind of has you do one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. But what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna leave this loose, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna grab my second leg, and I'm gonna leave it loose, and I'm gonna slide it in as well, so that I can equally distribute exactly the distance that I want to have the weight distribution perfect for my tent. That way I'm not overly working too hard to figure out where the center mass is of my tent. I'll get these nice and figured out exactly where they need to be, then I'll tighten them down. Just think about safety, think about time. Take your time to get the build done. Give yourself ample time in the day to ensure that you're doing it right. And I don't want to forget the best part is I'm actually doing the build next to our RV. So what does that mean? It means if me and my buddy, we just want to pop into the RV, take a break for a minute, grab a cold pop, we have all of it in the RV, not to mention we have a bathroom. So you're self-contained. It's like my own shop within a shop. All right, so now that I've got these on, now we're going to start putting on the actual brackets themselves. And what's great is they come with a really cool front runner logo that'll cover up the bolts on the bottom. And that really gives it a good styled look. There you go. Look how cool that is. Last but not least is going to be the low bars, and I wanted to have a little fun with you first. So here's what I am doing is I put this one on, the very last one here on the end, because that's not what you should do. You should actually put the one on the front first. That way you can stand in your truck bed and make your way all the way to the back. So let's get these on and we'll be done with the project. Before we clean it off, we're going to go ahead and tighten down the inside of each one of these legs, simply so that you have a little bit more sturdiness up on top. And I almost forgot, you got to beautify it. These caps come under here so you don't scratch yourself when you're digging around inside your truck bed. Just like this. And then inside this bag is what closes it out. You come right up here to your end cap. Make sure that Front Runner logo is up so everybody can see the awesomeness of Front Runner. And there you go, just to close it out. You know, it probably took me about an hour, hour and a half to install the load bearing system on the back of the truck. This is awesome. Now I've got enough support here so that when I put my tent on at home with Tyler, it's gonna give us that flexibility of making sure that this thing is totally solid. When I got home from the garage, Tyler was so excited to see what I had been working on. Not only was he excited, but he had tools in his hand ready to go and immediately jumped in. And that led us to the last part of the process. That's popping the tent on the top of the rack. And I gotta be honest, it was relatively easy because most of the hard work was already done at the garage. I sure love it when Tyler jumps in to help me on anything. But this afternoon was really special because this build not only represents a fun way to dress up my truck, but it also represents some incredible fun father-son weekends ahead. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you get a chance, please subscribe, provide comments. This is officially an Overlander, so there you go. Go RVing with the Caudills. Check out the Instagram, Facebook channels as well. Give us a like, give us a comment. Shoot pictures of your own stuff up there as well. We'd love to see how you've taken your camping experience to a whole new level. All right, guys, have a great day.